As the Cold War between the Soviet Union, who were communists, and the United States, who were democratic, intensified in the 1950s, hysteria over the perceived threat posed by communists in the U.S. became known as the Red Scare. The Red Scare led to a range of actions that had a profound and enduring effect on the U.S. government and society. The House of Un-American Activities Committee, as well as the U.S. Senator Joseph R. McCarthy, investigated allegations of communists in the government, Hollywood, and average-day people. Joseph McCarthy was born on November 14, 1908, in Appleton, Wisconsin. In 1935, he graduated from law school. He then ran for district attorney, but lost the race. Not accepting defeat, McCarthy ran for judgeship in his county and won. On January 2, 1940, he was sworn in as a judge. McCarthy was known as a kind and compassionate judge who truly cared about the people he was serving. McCarthy joined the Marines during World War I. In 1942, he was given a leave of absence by the Board of State Judges. He served from January 1942 to February of 1945. To obtain the Distinguished Flying Cross, McCarthy exaggerated the number of combat missions he flew in the log he submitted to the government. In 1938, McCarthy ran for Senate position in Wisconsin. After losing, he ran again in 1946 and won. When the U.S. Supreme Court was persecuting German war criminals for slaughtering 72 American soldiers, McCarthy actually defended the war criminals by accusing the U.S. government of abusing the prisoners. As he neared the end of his first term, many of his colleagues were weary about him. Before McCarthy began his witch hunts for communists in 1950, the persecution of spies had already begun. Alger Hiss was a high-ranking official in the State Department of Franklin D. Roosevelt. In 1948, an ex-communist named Whittaker Chambers accused Hiss of being a member of the Communist Party and a spy. Hiss was then called to testify before the House of Un-American Activities Committee. He denied all the charges. When Chambers produced evidence suggesting Hiss was lying, Hiss was convicted of perjury and sentenced to 4 years in prison. Though he insisted until his dying day that he was innocent, recently disclosed Soviet records suggest that Hiss was, in fact, a Soviet agent. In February of 1950, Senator Joseph McCarthy embarked on a 5-city tour. His first engagement was to speak for the West Virginian Republican Women's Club at Wheeling. In his speech to the organization, McCarthy said,
"I have in my hand a list of 205 names that were made known in the Secretary of State as being members of the Communist Party and who, nevertheless, are still working and shaping policy in the State Department."
McCarthy's figures were not based on sufficient research, and a few days later the senator changed the number from 205 to 57 in his speech at Salt Lake City. The number was changed again to 81 when McCarthy spoke to his fellow colleagues on the Senate floor. McCarthy did not want others to know was the fact that his numbers were mainly based on a vague report from the House Committee in 1948. In fact, the senator often exaggerated his information. When asked to name the 205 communists that he mentioned at Wheeling, McCarthy declined to answer. Following these accusations, the Senate hired the Tidings Committee to investigate it. They eventually declared that many of McCarthy's charges were groundless. Despite this, McCarthy's list still generated a lot of media response. Encouraged by all the publicity, the senator from Wisconsin continued the witch hunt from 1950 to 1953. As his popularity grew, McCarthy began receiving monetary support from various organizations. McCarthy first started his investigation on Voices of America, the official broadcasting service of the United States government. Around this time, the organization was trying to decide whether it should be an objective news agency or a propaganda tool for the government. McCarthy, of course, sided with the conservatives and charged that some of the broadcasters at VOA were representing Joseph Stalin. Senator McCarthy did receive backlash from the CBS reporter Edward R. Murrow, who decided to take a stand and challenge McCarthy. This video is about the event.
It's going to be about Senator McCarthy. We're going to go right at him.
We will not walk in fear one of another. This is no time for men who oppose Senator McCarthy's methods to keep silent.
Mr. Edward R. Murrow has made repeated attacks upon me and those fighting communists.
Somebody's going to go down.
You're gonna get audited this year.
Not me, you.
McCarthy wants April 6th.
I will not be deterred.
He's going to come after me.
You understand the position you're putting us in?
Let's walk very carefully through these next few moments.
Why don't you just fire me, Bill?
Go after Joe Kennedy. We'll pay for it.
Murrow is the symbol, the leader, and the cleverest of the jackal pack engaged in propaganda for communist causes.
Okay, fellas, here we go. We might as well go down swinging.
We're gonna go with the story, because the terror is right here in this room. We cannot defend freedom abroad by deserting it at home. Good night, and good luck.
The trial of Ethel and Julius Rosenberg took place in New York. The couple was accused for selling the atomic bomb secrets to the Russians. Julius obtained the information from his brother-in-law, who was working on the atomic bomb project, and passed the information to the Soviets. They later used this information given by Rosenberg to create their own atomic bomb later on that year. The only real hard evidence the prosecution had was Rosenberg's brother-in-law telling the official that he had given the information to Julius. The Rosenbergs were registered American communists. The couple was found guilty and put to death. The people who were accused of communism usually had little to no evidence against them. McCarthy is known for making up false documents. Even if a person was found innocent, they were still blacklisted from society. Accused communists include Lucille Ball from I Love Lucy, Helen Keller, and Charlie Chaplin. A person accused of communism could not say anything without being more accused. No one would want to listen to an accused communist.
Doctor, will you tell these fools I'm not crazy? Make them listen to me before it's too late! Listen to me. Please listen. If you don't, if you won't, if you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
The Red Scare came to declining after numerous Supreme Court rulings were against McCarthy's allegations. McCarthy's last trial was accusing the U.S. military of being communist. This did not work out well for McCarthy. At age 48, McCarthy died of alcoholism. The fear essentially died out after McCarthy's death and the end of the Cold War.
I don't care. I love it. I don't